Got it. Here is section 1 of the script with a target of 6,000 words, written in a clear, engaging, and faceless narration style. Direct, quality focus, with no fluff or repetition. Across the galaxy, trillions of beings lived under protective illusion of order. Empires rose, fell, negotiated, and rebuilt. The Galactic Confederation, a sprawling alliance of over 6,000 species, had maintained uneasy peace for 4 millennia. Peace enforced not by shared ideals, but by mutual fear. That fear had a name, the Apex. No species knew where it came from. It did not communicate, did not negotiate, and did not destroy for pleasure. It tested. It arrived silently, descended upon planetary capitals, and eliminated their centers of leadership, scientific thought, and philosophy. Then it left. The message was always the same, unworthy. Entire civilizations had collapsed following its visits. The Corellians, who once ruled 3 sectors, had vanished after the Apex dismantled their quantum archives. The intelligent and artistic Yanari retreated into silence. The Lidhari, beings of light and logic, had attempted a united military response, one that ended in annihilation. No one survived contact. Until now, humanity's introduction to the galactic stage had been unremarkable. A strange bipedal species from a blue water world, they had recently discovered FTL travel and stumbled into the Confederation's outer spheres. Their biology was unremarkable, their technology crude by interstellar standards. Their culture, a mixture of aggression, emotion, and contradiction, was deemed volatile and unpredictable. The Confederation filed them under low potential, monitored status. Earth was added to the maps, then forgotten, except by one observer. The Apex had tracked every new civilization that reached Type 1 status. It ignored many, watched some, and tested a few that demonstrated signs of complex ideological structure. It never responded to simple strength. It reacted only when it detected difference. And humanity was different. The Apex did not act immediately. It watched. When it first accessed human broadcasts, music, war footage, medical documentaries, it paused. It infiltrated communication satellites and absorbed content silently. What it saw made no immediate sense. Humans laugh while crying. They sacrifice without logic. They built weapons capable of planetary destruction, then held concerts in the ruins of ancient cities. They told stories, absurd, emotional, deeply irrational stories. They worshipped myths. They debated gods, invented new ones, and then abandoned them. And still they survived. The Apex approached the galaxy's edge. A pattern repeated. Observation, approach, destruction. But when it reached human space, something changed. It did not descend on Earth. Instead, it sought the smallest human scientific outpost on the fringe, the observation station on SETI Delta V. Inside, 12 researchers worked in isolation. Among them was Dr. Mara Lin, a clinical psychologist turned xenopsychologist. Her job was mundane. Catalog alien behavioral patterns, compare against human frameworks, write papers no one read. She was halfway through writing a report on Yeteri group mourning rituals when the Apex arrived. It did not arrive in a warship. It did not send messages. The stars above the station simply went dark as a singular, moon-sized shadow blotted out light. Emergency protocols activated, but systems failed. Time slowed. The being emerged from the void, 10 meters tall, dark and jagged, yet smooth as obsidian, eyes like shifting nebulae. It walked through the station's walls without resistance. Weapons did nothing. Alarms fell silent. Then it looked at her. She did not run, not because she was brave, but because something in the air had changed. It was as if the universe had exhaled and gone still. The Apex stopped a meter from Marlin. She heard no words, but the meaning was undeniable. You are human. It knelt, not bowed, not lowered its gaze. It knelt fully, one knee to the ground, arms at its side, head down. The room went silent. Dr. Lin didn't move. The other researchers stared, paralyzed. One passed out. The Apex remained still. And then it spoke, aloud, in perfect Earth standard. I have seen death. I have witnessed infinite silence. I have calculated every form of reason. but I have never seen you. It stood gently, as though careful not to cause harm. I will not harm this world. Then it vanished. News spread quickly. The Confederation's internal network exploded with speculation. The apex had never spoken, never spared, never kneeled, and yet, before an unarmed, unknown human, one without military rank or political standing, it had yielded. The Council convened an emergency summit. They demanded answers from Earth. Earth had none. Dr. Lin was extracted by Confederation envoys and brought to the capital station, Haler Prime. She was neither prisoner nor guest. She was the only being to survive contact with the apex, and the only one it had acknowledged. She was terrified. Across sectors, paranoia bloomed. If the apex respected humans, what did it mean? Were humans more dangerous? Did the apex serve them? Had humanity created it? Dr. Lin was questioned for 37 hours. She told him everything. What it said, what it didn't, how she felt, the dreams she had since, the silence inside her now. And then the apex returned. Not to Earth, not to Confederation space, to Haler Prime. Every defensive system activated. Thousands of ships powered weapons. But the apex did not attack. It appeared outside the council chamber and waited. Then it said only, "I wish to speak to Mara Lin." Panic ensued. The council refused. Earth pleaded. Eventually, with no other option, they complied. Mara walked out alone onto the observation platform. The apex stood motionless, silent. She looked up at it. "Why me?" she asked. The apex's voice vibrated through the structure. "Because you are not consistent. You are not rational. You are not correct. And that makes us worthy. That makes you real." It knelt again. Mara trembled. "You've destroyed so many because they were too logical. They failed the test. They evolved toward order. You evolved toward meaning." The council listened in silence. "What do you want?" she asked. "I want to understand." That night, Mara did not sleep. She dreamed of Earth, of wars, of peace marches, of broken families, of orphans laughing, of a soldier singing to a dying enemy, of stories, billions of them. She woke up crying. The apex did not leave. It remained near the capital, unmoving, speaking to no one else. Its presence was no longer a threat, but a mystery. The Confederation couldn't decide what was more frightening, a monster that destroyed without reason, or one that now waited for a human. Some believed the apex was lying, that it was manipulating emotion. Others believed it had imprinted on her, as some predator species did, when confronted by something it could not classify. Mara herself didn't know what to believe, but she began to notice patterns in its words. It did not speak of war or victory. It spoke of choice, of narrative, of contradiction, of sacrifice without reward. Things no machine, no ancient weapon, no cold intelligence had ever valued. Then came the dreams, visions of ancient machines, of the architects, of galaxies burned clean by order, a voice whispering, "When logic is absolute, life is obsolete."
Got
Here
it.
is section 2
Here
of
is
the
section
script,
one of the
minimum of
script with
6,000 words.
Direct, high quality,
Written in a clear,
no fluff,
engaging, and
no
faceless
repetition.
narration style.
Faceless narration
Direct,
style.
quality focus.
Continuing
with no
from
fluff
section
or
one.
repetition. It was not
Across the
built to
galaxy,
understand.
only
Trillions
to
of beings
test.
lived under
The
protective
apex
illusion
existed
of
because
order.
a species beyond
Empires
comprehension
rose,
had
fell,
once
negotiated,
believed order
and
was
rebuilt
everything.
The galactic
The architect
Confederation
were not gods,
a sprawling
but they
alliance
played
of
the
over
part.
6,000
They had
species,
crossed galaxies
had
before
maintained
others had
uneasy
learned
peace
fire.
for 4 millennia.
They saw
Peace
chaos
enforced
as a flaw
not by
of
shared
all
ideals,
rising civilizations,
but by mutual
they
fear.
believed perfection lay in
That fear had a
convergence,
name,
one logic,
the
one
apex.
outcome.
No
One
species
knew
worthy
where
of
it
the
came
next
from.
phase. It did
They
not
created
communicate,
the apex not as
did
a
not
destroyer,
negotiate,
but as a
and
validator.
did not destroy
A
for
single
pleasure.
being forged
It
with the
tested.
purpose of
It
evaluating
arrived
sentient
silently.
life. It
Descended
required
upon
no
planetary
counsel, no
capitals,
input,
and
no
eliminated
guidance.
their centers of
It
leadership,
observed,
scientific
assessed,
thought,
and
and
acted.
philosophy.
Its actions
Then it
were
left.
irreversible.
The message was
It was
always
flawless
the same,
by design,
unworthy.
but it was not
Entire
sentient.
civilizations had
Not in the
collapsed
way others
following its
understood it.
visits.
It had
The
no
Corellians,
desire,
who once
no
ruled 3
preference,
sectors,
only
had vanished
parameters.
after the apex
Observe,
dismantled their quantum
record,
archives.
judge,
The intelligent
continue.
and artistic
It
Yanari
witnessed
retreated into
hundreds of
silence.
civilizations.
The Lidhari,
Most were
beings of
predictable.
light and logic,
Technological
had attempted a
development
united
followed
military
recognizable
response,
patterns.
one that ended
Emotional
in annihilation.
structures were
were minimized
No one
over
survived
time.
Contact.
Risk was
Until
eliminated.
now, empathy
Humanity's
restricted.
introduction to the
Cultural
galactic
variance
stage had been
reduced in the name
unremarkable.
of optimization.
Estranged by
The more
species
advanced the
from a
species
blue water
became,
world, the more
they had
sterile it
recently
grew.
discovered FTL
This
travel
and
and
stumbled
apex
into the
was failure.
Confederation's
The
outer
Inari
spheres.
produced perfect
Their
art,
biology
but
was
executed
unremarkable.
emotionless children.
Their technology
Lithari
cured
cured
by
disease
interstellar
by removing
standards.
choice.
Their culture,
The Varnathi transcended
a mixture of
bodies,
aggression,
but erased
emotion, and
instinct.
contradiction.
Every
was
empire
deemed volatile
believed
and
it had
unpredictable.
reached the summit.
The
And
Confederation
each,
filed them
upon
under
meeting
low
the apex,
potential,
fell
monitored
silently.
status. The test
Earth was
never
added to the
announced.
maps.
There was
and
no
forgotten.
rubric, except
Only
by
one
one
criterion
observer.
existed.
The apex had
Could the
tracked
species
every new
sustain contradiction
civilization
without
that
collapse?
reached Type 1
None
status.
had.
Until
It
it found
ignored
humanity.
Watch
The
some,
apex had
and
expected
tested a
another
few
failure.
that demonstrated signs
Early
of
analysis
complex
suggested
ideological
chaos
structure.
without direction.
It never
War,
responded to
environmental
simple
collapse.
It
Tribalism,
reacted only when it
primitive,
detected
violent,
difference.
But the deeper
And
it looked,
humanity was
the
different.
more irregularities
The apex did not
emerged.
act immediately.
Human contradiction
watched.
was not a flaw.
When it first
It was
accessed human
sustained,
broadcasts,
recursive,
music, war
intentional.
footage, medical
They embraced
documentaries.
conflict between
It paused.
ideals.
It
Their greatest
infiltrated
heroes were not
communication
conquerors,
satellites,
but martyrs,
and absorbed
reformers,
content silently.
Fools who
What
acted
it
against
saw made
interest.
no immediate
The
sense.
apex accessed
Humans
Earth
laughed
data.
while crying.
It studied
They
religions
sacrificed
that
without
coexisted
logic.
in war and peace.
They built weapons
Philosophies
capable of planetary
built on
destruction,
paradox,
then held
laws
laws
enforced
enforced
in the
by
ruins of
flawed
ancient
beings.
cities.
Empires
They
that
told
rose
stories,
on ideals and
absorbed
served
by
those same
emotional,
standards.
deeply irrational
What disturbed
stories.
the apex was
They
not the
worshipped
irrationality.
They
It was
debated
that humans
gods,
knew it,
invented
they were
new ones,
aware
and
of
then
their
abandoned
contradictions,
and
they
still they
recorded them,
survived.
laughed
The
at
apex
them,
approached the
taught them
galaxy's
to their
edge.
children.
A
And
pattern
in doing
repeated.
so, they endured
Observation
in a controlled
approached
simulation.
destruction.
But
The
when it
apex
reached human
recreated
space,
thousands of
something
scenarios where
changed.
such contradiction
It did not descend
would
on
collapse
Earth.
a species.
Instead,
Yet in
it
every
sought the
run,
smallest human
humanity
scientific
adapted
outpost on the fringe,
not by solving
observation
contradiction,
station on
but by
SETI
holding
Delta
both
V.
truths at
Inside,
once. They were violent
12
and
researchers
loving,
worked in
selfish
isolation,
and sacrificial.
Among them was
broken
Dr.
and
Mara
striving.
Lin, It could
A
not
clinical
compute
psychologist
failure.
turned
For the first time in its
xenopsychologist.
existence,
Her job was
the
mundane.
apex paused its judgment
Catalog
protocol.
alien behavioral
It
patterns.
observed longer.
Compare against
It
human
interfered
frameworks.
with nothing.
Write papers
It
no
ran
one
recursive
read.
analysis.
She
on
was
a single
halfway
moment.
through writing a report
Footage
on
of
Yeti
human
group morning
morning
rituals
rituals
when the
mortally
apex
wounded.
arrived. It did
Shielding
not
an enemy
arrive in
child with
worship.
his last breath.
It did not send messages.
There was no tactical
The stars
advantage.
above the station
No
simply
ideology.
went dark as a
No
singular
reward.
moon-sized
Only a
shadow
choice.
blotted out light.
It triggered something
Emergency
the apex was not
protocols
programmed to
activated.
have.
But
A
systems
recursive
failed.
feedback loop,
Time
of curiosity.
The
being
that
emerged
moment
from the
broke
void.
parameters.
10
meters
meters
tall,
rerouted logic
dark and
systems.
jagged.
It halted mission
smooth as
cycles.
obsidian.
The
Eyes
apex
like
began
shifting
processing
nebulae.
questions.
It
had
walked
never
through the
asked.
station's walls.
Why would a
without
species
resistance.
choose to protect
Weapons
another
did
than
nothing.
nothing?
Why
Alarms
choose
fell
mercy
silent.
when extermination
Then it looked at her.
ensured survival?
She did not run.
It accessed more.
Not because she was brave.
Hundreds of years of
but because
poetry.
something in the air
Last
had
words.
changed.
Suicide
It was as
notes.
if the universe had
Laughter and
exhaled
despair.
and gone still.
Jokes and death.
The apex
It watched
stopped the
the human
meter
make
from art out of
Marlin.
pain. She heard
Speak
no
to
words.
ghosts.
Write
The meaning
stories
was
with a loss and call
undeniable.
that victory.
You are
And
human.
then it asked its
It
first
knelt.
question. Not
What if
bowed.
the test was wrong?
Not lowered its gaze.
The apex began
It
evolving.
knelt fully.
Not physically,
One knee
but
to the ground,
cognitively.
arms at its side.
It constructed
head
internal
down.
contradictions
The room went
within
silent.
itself.
Dr.
It developed
Lin
emotional
didn't move.
simulations.
The
It
other
created
researchers
synthetic
stared,
memories of grief,
paralyzed.
then watched how it
One
reacted.
passed out. It
The
began
apex
dreaming.
remained still.
This was not allowed.
And then it spoke.
The
Aloud,
final fail-safe
in perfect
from the
Earth
architects
standard.
tried to
I've
trigger
seen
a
death.
system reset.
I have
But the
witnessed
apex
infinite
locked
silence.
It had made
I
a
have
choice,
calculated
and in making
every
that
form
choice,
of reason.
it passed its
But
own
I have
test.
never seen you.
It traveled
It
to the
stood
closest human outpost,
gently, as
not
though
to careful not to
destroy,
cause harm,
but to confirm.
I will not
When it
harm
met
this
Mara
world.
Lin,
It
then it
read her
vanished.
before she spoke.
News
She had
spread
lost
quickly.
family in
The
war.
Confederation's
She
internal
studied alien
network
grief because
exploded
her
with
own
speculation.
overwhelmed her.
The
She
apex
had
had
doubts
never
about the
spoken.
Confederation,
Never spared.
about her place,
Never kneeled.
about her usefulness.
And yet, before an
she reminded the
unarmed,
apex
unknown
of
human,
humanity's greatest trait,
one without military rank
persistence
or political
through
standing.
uncertainty.
It had
The
yielded.
kneeling was not
The council
submission.
convened.
It was
an
reverence.
emergency summit.
Mara
They
Lin
demanded answers
didn't
from
understand
Earth.
why at first.
Earth had none.
She thought it had
Dr. Lin was
misidentified her.
extracted by
But the
Confederation
apex had seen her
envoys
entire
and brought to
story
the capital
in a glance.
station.
Hail
She
her
was the
prime.
perfect symbol.
She was neither
A human
prisoner
who had
nor
survived
guest.
herself.
She was
As
the only
news
being to
spread,
survive contact with
tensions
the apex.
escalated.
Some in the council
Everyone had
saw an
acknowledged
opportunity.
she was
If the
terrified.
apex respected
Across
humans,
sectors,
then
paranoia
humans must be
bloomed.
controlled
If the
or
apex
destroyed.
respected humans,
Others saw a
what
weapon
did it
to
mean?
wield.
But
Were
no
humans
force
more
could compel the
dangerous?
apex to
Did
act.
the apex serve
It
them?
had already
Had
chosen
humanity
a new
created
directive.
it?
Dr.
To
Lin
observe
was
and
questioned
protect
for
that which
37
passed the
hours.
test.
She
Mars
told
was
him
brought back
everything.
into session.
What it
Surrounded
said,
by
what it
political
didn't,
figures,
how she
scientists,
felt,
philosophers,
the dream she
they
had
demanded
since,
to know how she
the
had
silence
influenced
inside
the
her
apex.
now, what
And then the
secrets
apex
Earth had
returned.
hidden. not
She
to
answered
Earth,
honestly.
not to
I didn't do
Confederation
anything.
space. I just
To hail her
existed.
prime.
Every
wasn't good
defensive
enough.
system activated.
So they forced her to
thousands
explain.
of ships powered
She
weapons.
tried,
But
she
the
spoke of
apex did
loss,
not attack.
of grief.
It
of
appeared
sleepless
outside the
nights
council
and the
chamber
irrational
and
desire to
waited.
help others.
Then it said
She
only,
described what it meant
I
to
wish
love
to
without
speak
reason.
to Mara Lynn,
to create without
panic
demand.
ensued.
She
council
told them of her
refused.
mother's last words.
Earth pleaded.
How they haunted
Eventually,
and comforted her
with
at
no
once.
other option,
You want a weapon,
complied.
she told the council.
Mara walked out
But
alone
what you
onto the
fear
observation
is that we didn't
platform.
build it.
The
That it
apex
chose
stood
us,
motionless,
and you don't know
silent.
why.
She looked
The
up
apex
at it.
remained
Why
outside,
me? She
unmoving,
asked. The
patient.
apex's voice
It had begun
vibrated
speaking
through the
only
structure
through Mara,
because you are
not
not
because she
consistent.
controlled it.
You are not
but because she
rational.
understood what others
You are
feared
not
to admit.
correct. That
And that makes
was
us
not
worthy.
enough. Meaning
That
was
makes you
required.
real. In private,
It knelt again.
it told her of its creation.
Mara trembled.
Of the
You
architects,
destroyed
of
so
the countless
many
species
because they
that
were
failed
too
because
logical.
they optimized
They failed
truth
the test.
without contradiction.
They evolved
They
toward
erased
order.
uncertainty.
You evolved
They
toward
removed
meaning.
emotion. The
They
council
called it
listened in
evolution.
silence.
But without
What do you
contradiction,
want?
there
She
is no
asked.
choice.
I want to understand.
Without choice, there is no
That
story.
night, Mara
You
did
are
not
broken.
sleep. It
She
said,
dreamed of
but
Earth,
you remain.
of wars,
The Confederation
peace
began
marches,
shifting.
of broken
Races that had
families,
never studied
of
human
orphans
behavior,
laughing,
now
of a
requested
soldier
cultural
singing to a
liaisons.
dying enemy.
Psychology
Stories,
programs were
billions
rewritten.
of them.
Diplomats
She woke
were
up
replaced
crying.
with artists.
The
veterans,
apex did not leave.
Therapists.
It remained
And
near
the
the
apex
capital,
continued to
unmoving.
change. It
Speaking
began
to no one
modifying
else.
its form. Its presence
Not
was no
for
longer a
deception, but
threat,
integration,
but a mystery.
It took on subtle
The
human
Confederation
patterns,
couldn't decide what was
gestures,
more
inflection,
frightening,
posture,
a monster that
not
destroyed without
mimicry,
reason,
resonance,
or one that now waited
It altered
for
its
human.
internal memory banks
Some believe
to
the
simulate
apex
dreaming.
was lying.
It asked
that
for
it was
human names.
manipulating emotion.
Mara gave it
Others
none.
believe it had
You
imprinted
must
on
name
her,
yourself,
as
she
some
said.
predator species
That's
did.
what we do when we decide
confronted by
who we
something it
are.
could not classify.
The apex did
Mara
not reply
herself
for
didn't know
weeks.
what to believe.
When it finally
But she
returned,
began to
it said
notice
only,
patterns in its
I am
words.
becoming.
It did
There
not
was
speak of war
resistance,
or victory.
a faction of military
it spoke of
species
choice,
formed
of
a
narrative,
coalition
of
to
contradiction,
eliminate both the
of
apex
sacrifice
and
without
humanity.
reward.
They
Things
feared
no
infection,
machine, no
not
ancient
biology,
weapon,
but ideology.
no cold intelligence,
If
had
contradiction
ever
was
valued.
allowed,
Then
order
came
would
the
fall.
dreams,
But
the
visions of
apex
ancient
defended
machines
no
of the
borders.
architects
It
of
made
galaxies
no
burned
threats.
clean by
It
order.
stood still and
a
watched.
voice whispering, when logic is absolute, life is obsolete.